Very good morning also from my side. Thank you, Andreas. Dear colleagues, I'm very pleased to see you all today for the beginning of this second day of the EU Drone Days. And I do hope you enjoyed the 3 panel discussions yesterday. From our point of view, there were very interesting discussions that confirmed the high level of ambition and involvement among the stakeholders when it comes to developing innovative air mobility or further developing aerial services. And I'm sure we will see the same level of interest and enthusiasm today as we address the area of use-based services. But before we come to the subject of today, allow me to first make a quick recap of the content of the Drone Strategy 2.0 and briefly put use space into this context. The safe integration of drones in the airspace will most probably be one of the key aspects of the development of the drone industry in the years to come. Our reflection started a few years ago as most of the objectives that the Commission set itself in its communication on a new era for civil aviation and also in the aviation strategy for Europe that were adopted respectively in 2014 and 2015, most of the objectives set there have been achieved or have been overtaken by technological developments. That's very rewarding. I had the honor of being in charge of that file at the time. Together with Koen de Vos, we developed all that, and now it's come to fruition. So now it's been largely implemented, and we felt the time was right for the definition of a new vision or a renewed vision and a renewed drone policy for Europe. We announced this already in the Sustainable and Smart Mobility Strategy that was adopted at the very end of 2020. And this paved the way not only for the preparation of the Drone Strategy 2.0, but also for the adoption of the use-based regulatory framework in April of last year. So in that sense, the Smart and Sustainable Mobility Strategy was a landmark because it set out the 2 main policy priorities that are key for the European Commission when speaking about innovative technologies in aviation. These 2 objectives are, first of all, to meet our ambitious climate objectives. And I remind you that the European Green Deal calls for climate neutrality by 2050 and calls for a 90% reduction in transport emissions to make that happen, to contribute to that overall climate neutrality. Our second priority that was very strongly put forward in the Smart and Sustainable Mobility Strategy is the digitalization of the economy. And of course, we are in the middle of that here in the drone sector. These 2 priorities are embedded in the Commission's strategy, and they are the backbone of the drone strategy that was adopted yesterday morning. The socio-economic development potential of the drone sector is there, but in order to harvest those benefits, the EU needs to provide an innovative, a cost-efficient, and a market-led environment for business to develop. And that is why our revised policy aims to ensure at least 3 objectives which are interlinked. First of all, leveraging of these new drone services and technologies within the EU's internal market to reinforce the overall competitiveness of the European economy. Secondly, to guarantee the widest possible social acceptance. And thirdly, to reap the benefits of civil defense technological synergies. The widespread consultations that we had conducted over the last year and a half, they have helped us to shape up a vision for the drone sector from now to 2030. I hope you find it inspiring, and I would like to thank the members of the Drone Leaders Group who helped to shape it, and of course my own team in DG Move to put it all on paper. This vision is first and foremost a reminder that we should not consider the potential growth of this sector as an established fact. A lot of work is ahead of us. Our experience with the implementation of the new European regulatory framework for drones, the outcome of our consultations, as well as recent studies, show that there are many hurdles on the way that we need to tackle and remove. And to address those hurdles, the Drone Strategy 2.0 identifies several key action areas with the aim of building the Union, the EU drone service market, and reinforcing the drone ecosystem by the end of this decade. The 3 panel discussions that we held yesterday covered both aerial operations and the transport of goods and people with larger drones and eVTOLs, the strengthening of European civil security and defense industry capabilities and synergies was discussed in our 3rd panel. Now, the discussions held yesterday in these panels showed a high level of expectations from our stakeholders when it comes to implementing the 19 flagship actions contained in the strategy. There's now a broad consensus of where the sector should be going by 2030, where we want to be. And we, from our side, will continue to support the development of the sector into that direction to make this vision for 2030 possible. The high number of participants in the drone days, we had received more than 430 requests for registration from more than 300 organizations. This high level of participation and interest is a demonstration, is proof of the great interest for the drone strategy and its related research and investment developments like U-Space is one of them. As you know, the wide consultations that we conducted during the last year and a half have been quite intense. We had a variety of consultation tools at our disposal. We sought to reach out to everybody concerned by the development of drone services. We conducted an open public consultation. We had hearings directly with experts and with the support of an external consultant. We held in total more than 50 in-depth so-called targeted interviews. So I think we can say the voice of the European drone industry has been heard. The strategy aims to address their concerns and hopes and expectations, and our colleagues in EASA have already started to mobilize the competent national authorities to help us achieve. One of our goals will be to achieve a more and better coordinated approach in order to improve the implementation of the drone regulatory framework to maximize the benefits of the single market, particularly in that specific category of operations that still requires a push. An NPA is also ongoing from EASA regarding the certified category because we want to meet the expectations of our manufacturing companies. Now, these efforts will intensify in the course of the coming months and years, particularly in the specified and certified categories. Many regions seek to gain a competitive advantage in this area of drone and unmanned services. And it's really of utmost importance that European companies maintain and enhance their competitiveness, both as regards the production of drones and drone parts, as well as the provision of services using them. The strategic autonomy of this sector in Europe must be protected, and we have reached, I think, a very strong position compared to other parts of the world that we need to maintain and nurture. Last but not least, our vision is to facilitate this transition by providing a new U-Space architecture, proposing operational procedures and mechanisms that will pave the way for an integration between ATC and U-Space service providers. That was also mentioned yesterday as one of the challenges for the medium term, the question of integration. And this brings me really to the subject of today's meeting, which is U-Space. It is the implementation of the U-Space regulatory framework from January, in a couple of weeks' time, that will lay the ground for increased operations. The U-Space is unique to Europe, and I would like to thank the SESAR joint undertaking for its incredible contribution to its design, conception, and development. Today we will hear about the outcome of SESAR 2020 U-Space research program. There's no doubt that the new SESAR 3 joint undertaking, now under the leadership of Andreas, will play a key role in making U-Space a reality. The commitment remains strong. And the large number of exhibitors, more than I have seen before, outside this room, are another proof of how crucial these research and innovation efforts are, how much they are supported by people who are putting their private money into these companies. And I warmly invite you to visit the exhibition, and the different stands. I'm proud to say that with the current regulatory framework and the new strategy, the EU will be at the forefront of the development of unmanned aircraft operations, and the rest of the world is watching us. This is a clear and strong signal to industry that the Commission is committed to creating a sustainable and predictable long-term business environment for the development of new innovative drones and drone services. And we are very much supported by our member states in doing this. Europe will be an attractive and safe place for drone startups and the related investments. The Commission will now launch the work together with you and the member states and EASA on the strategies, and SESAR, of course, on the strategy's 19 flagship actions. This work will prepare the way for large-scale commercial operations in the course of this decade and ensure that Europe benefits from synergies between the civil, security and military use of drones and related technologies, including, of course, counter-drone solutions where that will be needed. The Drone Strategy 2.0 also covers European civil, security and defense industry capabilities and synergies to ensure that the sector can make an important contribution also to Europe's strategic autonomy, which is an objective more and more important for our leaders. But as mentioned by Commissioner Vălean yesterday, if we want to build the right regulatory and commercial environment for tomorrow's drone ecosystem, this cannot be done by the Commission with the EU institutions alone. It will require involvement of all stakeholders, including civil aviation, regional, local, as well as law enforcement authorities. On our side, in the Commission, we now have an important task to deliver the actions contained in the strategy. And to do so, we will continue to reach out to you to make sure that we achieve a balanced and efficient and a safe drone ecosystem for the sector to develop. In the meantime, I wish you an excellent second day of these EU Drone Days, and of course I count on your continued support to help us implementing the strategy in a true partnership as we have done in years past. Thank you very much for your attention and have a pleasant day.